it is a Thursday morning talking about today. Yes, where we get to talk sports. Being the 19th of June. Yes, how was your day? Yes, talking about yesterday and of course this morning. Yes, welcome to Sports Drive, where we give you all the sports updates and of course everything that is happening around the globe. Yes, especially coming from the Nigerian scene, where we have to talk about the Abia State Warriors. Yes, they are preparing for the CAF Confederations Cup. Now, of course, it has been stated that Abia Warriors have already started returning to camp, of course, and most of them are already in the camp to commence preparations for the club's debut into the CAF Confederations Cup. Yes. It is, of course, their first time in a continental tournament, but of course, they are willing to go all the way and make Nigeria proud. Now, of course, if you remember, Abia Warriors finished third on the MPFL table. Yes, talking about the Nigerian Premier Football League. They finished third and they secured the spot at the Continental Tournament, talking about the Confederations Cup. And this is the first time that they will be participating. Now, of course, they have made it clear that this is what they are going to try and win. Now, talking about the media officer for Abia Warriors, Solomon Igwe, in an interview, he told the public that the club's management is doing everything possible to make sure that and for the first time the Abia Warriors make sure they win this title for the first time for Nigeria, of course, knowing that they will try to repeat the glory of Eyimba's days. And of course, this is another Abia State club and we are hoping they go all the way. Now, of course, Solomon Igwe said, he said, one thing is certain, our chairman John Ogu knows what it takes to play in this type of competitions, and he alongside the coaches have started planning the strategy that will make us successful. Now, when the team settles, the coaches will determine the players to retain and the new ones to add to the squad. Now, of course, we are actually wishing them all the best. When the CAF Confederation Cup starts, of course, you will be the first to hear that. And we're giving you all the highlights and, of course, the fixtures and results of the CAF Confederations Cup, knowing that this is the best place to get all the sporting news. Now, still talking about the Nigerian scene. Now, the Super Falcons have scheduled an international friendly between, the Super Falcons, the Nigerian female football team will be facing none other than our brothers and of course greatest rivals, talking about the female football team of Ghana. Now, of course, Super Falcons of Nigeria will be facing the Black Princesses of Ghana in a clash ahead of the 2024 Women's African Cup of Nations WAFCON, which will be starting on the 5th of July in Morocco. Yes, it's not that far anymore. It's less than 3 weeks away. Yes, and of course, the Super Falcons are scheduled to face Portugal in another second friendly before the start of the Women's African Cup of Nations, and that will be from next week Monday. Now, of course, Justin Madugu, talking about the coach, has said that even though his side defeated the Cameroonians, talking about the Indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon 2-0. Yes, that happened at the Moshood Abiola Sports Arena, Abeokuta, about 2 weeks ago. That, of course, they are hoping to get another win against the Black Princesses of Ghana. And of course, talking about the Ghanaian delegation, they arrived, of course, in Morocco for the final leg of their preparations on Tuesday. And of course, talking about the Nigerian team, they are also expected to be in camp right now, talking about preparing for the Women's African Cup of Nations in Morocco, and they will be facing, of course, the Ghanaian delegation, the Black Princesses of Ghana. Let's see what happens in that friendly before they face Portugal in another friendly just before the 5th of July. Now, Ghana, they are also in the Women's African Cup of Nations. Yes, they are in Group C and they will be facing defending champions Bayana of South Africa. And of course, they will also be facing Mali and Tanzania. While Nigeria, we are in Group B, and guess what? We are up against Tunisia, Botswana, and Algeria. And of course, we know our Super Falcons, they can do everything right and of course win this game for Nigeria. Now, of course, it is worthy of note to remind you that the Super Falcons will start their campaign in the Women's African Cup of Nations against Tunisia. The first match will be against Tunisia on Sunday, the 5th of July at the Zaoli Stadium in Casablanca. Now, of course, we will be wishing and wanting and trying everything possible to win the 10th title. Now, this is the 13th edition of the Women's African Cup of Nations, and of course, Nigeria, talking about the Super Falcons, have won this nothing less than 9 times. They will be gunning for the 10th title, 10 out of 13, and of course, the Super Falcons will be going all the way. We are wishing them all the best in this tournament. Now, still talking about what is going on, let's talk about the FIFA Club World Cup. Have you been watching? Yes, have you been watching? Is your club playing? Of course, did they lose or have they been winning? Now, let's talk about yesterday's matches. It was Mamelodi Sundowns who defeated Ulsan of South Korea. Mamelodi Sundowns, a South African-based club. Of course, we are putting Africa right there in the spotlight after Al Ahly did their own magic against Lionel Messi's Inter Miami, and it was Mamelodi Sundowns who beat, of course, Ulsan of South Korea 1-0. Yes, that was yesterday, courtesy of a goal from Reiners. And of course, it was Monterrey who surprised Inter Milan with a 1-1 draw yesterday. Man City, they defeated Wydad, of course, and of course that match ended 2-0 in favor of Man City. Goals from Phil Foden in the second minute of the game. By the second minute of the game, Phil Foden already made it 1-0 for Man City. While we expected more goals to come in, it was Jeremy Doku who made it 2 in the 42nd minute. Yes, 42 minutes. It was 2-0 in favor of Man City. They actually did get a red card in that match in the 88th minute. And that was Rico Lewis who got a red card in the 88th minute for a very, very dangerous foul. But of course, Guardiola has said he's not happy with the referee's decision to give a red card to Rico Lewis, knowing that the youngster did not really do enough for him. Now, of course, still talking about yesterday's matches, or should I say this morning matches, talking about matches that came up early this morning. It was Al Ain, of course, who lost to Juventus 5-0. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Colomwani scored in the 11th minute, and he scored again, and of course, in the extra time of the first half. And of course, Federico Conceição, he scored in the 21st minute and also in the 58th minute. Talking about 58, yes. And of course, Yildiz, he scored in the 31st minute. All of them, yes, all 4 goals coming in the first half before the last goal. That was in the 58th minute, making it another brace for, of course, talking about Federico Conceição. Yes, Colomwani scored 2. Federico Conceição scoring 2 as well, while Yildiz scored 1 in the 31st minute. 5-0. What a heavy defeat it was. Now, of course, RB Salzburg, they came on top when they defeated Pachuca. Yes, that was 2-1 in favor of RB Salzburg. Real Madrid versus Al Hilal. What a match it was. What a match it was. Al Hilal of Saudi Arabia, they really came through. What a match it was. Domination totally, but of course, it's never for Real Madrid, who always find a way. Now, despite the heavy domination, in the first 30 minutes of that match, it was Real Madrid who scored in the 31st minute. Yes, goals from, of course, none other than Garcia, who scored in the 34th minute for Real Madrid. But it wasn't far behind before, of course, a penalty kick for Ruben Neves for Al Hilal. He scored a penalty for Al Hilal, and of course, that was in the 41st minute. Yes. Of course, 2 first half goals. It ended in favor of both sides, I would say. 1-1, yes, and that was a draw for Real Madrid taking on Al Hilal. What a match it was indeed. I have said it, the Club World Cup is a very, very interesting tournament, exciting to the core. You do not want to miss most matches, even though, of course, we know that the time difference is going to be a big problem. You will get all the news and, of course, the results right here on 88.5, the heartbeat of the East. Now, let us tell you matches that will be coming up today. Yes, matches that will be coming up today, which is match day 2. Yes, of the group stage. It will be Palmeiras who will be facing Al Ahly today by 5 p.m. Yes, there are matches that do come up. this evening, talking about Nigerian time. Inter Miami, they will be facing Porto. Yes, if you want to see Leo Messi play, you are lucky this time around. By 8 p.m., Inter Miami will be facing Porto of Portugal. Seattle Sounders will be facing Atletico Madrid by 11 p.m. today. And of course, by 2 a.m., it will be PSG taking on Botafogo right here. All right, of course, I'm talking about Nigerian time, 2 a.m. Benfica will be facing Auckland City tomorrow. And Flamengo, they will be facing Chelsea tomorrow by, of course, 7 p.m. And that, of course, is what we have from the Club World Cup, talking about what is happening right there in the United States of America. And now, still talking about the news, now a very, very sad one, I would say, for none other than Chelsea's player, talking about Chelsea's winger, Mikola Modric. He has been charged by the Football Association with anti-doping violations. Yes, now Modric has been suspended by the FA in December 2024 for failing a drug test, but now they are actually pushing to give him a ban, a doping ban that will be up to 4 years. Yes, 4 years. Almost the same thing that what happened to Paul Pogba. And of course, the positive test was for the prohibited substance known as meldonium, which was administered abroad when Modric was not on Chelsea duty. Now, Modric had played for Ukraine, in Albania, and Georgia. Now, of course, he said he is in absolute shock because he did not know how this got into his system, and he doesn't know what happened and where it came from. Now, of course, Modric legal counsel said on Wednesday that Mr. Modric's position remains as set out in his December statement, that he shall not be commenting further at this time, owing to the confidentiality of the process. And of course, Modric said in December when he was given the ban, he said he was in complete shock and said he had no hand in any wrongdoing. And of course, Chelsea have launched their own investigation in December and said that the 23-year-old has insisted he never knowingly used any substance that was banned. And of course, right now it is still undergoing investigations to know whether Modric will be getting up to a 4-year ban. That is almost the end of football. But of course, let's see how this plays along. And with this, we come to the end of today's edition of Sports Drive. You can join us again tomorrow for more sports news updates, and where we also give you all the gist and of course the news talking about Modric and of course his doping ban. I am your host, Uchenna Diana Onubogu. Bye for now. See you some other time.